Thank you, Kapil Dev, Ram Narayan, Mr. Shankar, Mr. Kumar, friends. We are here to celebrate the game of cricket, and my talk is going to be a celebration. So it's going to be anecdotal, partly autobiographical, but also with a theme. I am going to defend 5 forms of cricketing partisanship. My 5 forms, which you may not share, but cricket is all about argument, disagreement. And Ram has been intrigued, my namesake Ram has been intrigued as to what these 5 forms were. I think he may have anticipated 2, but the other 3 he has not yet. But so, as I said, I'm going to be celebratory. So I'm going to start with Kapil Dev and my memories of Kapil Dev. The first time I saw Kapil Dev was on a television screen. It was his first test, played against Pakistan in 1978-79. And those days, Pakistan television was much better than Doordarshan. I hope I'm not called anti-national on Arnab Goswami's show tomorrow for saying this. But although television has improved substantially in recent decades, you will remember Kapil, how good Pakistan TV was and how bad Doordarshan was. So Kapil Dev was bowling on the first morning of the first test of the India-Pakistan series played after 17 years. And I was in front of my college TV, the common room, front seat. I'd gone 2 hours before play to get a good seat. And Kapil Dev bowled a ball. Sadiq Mohammed was opening, who was a very good opening batsman. Kapil Dev bowled a ball, which beat him outside the off stump. Then he bowled a bouncer, which was the fastest ball bowled by an Indian since independence. And Sadiq immediately called to the dressing room because he had helmets there. Packer had come and there were helmets available and he never thought he'd need a helmet against an Indian bowler. So that's my first memory of Kapil as a bowler. My next memory of Kapil is Kapil as a batsman. This is the Delhi test the following year against the West Indies, 78-79. India, Gavaskar got 100 in about 8 hours. Vengsarkar got 100 in about 14 hours, I think. And midway through the second day, Kapil came into bat. And he played some fabulous strokes. I mean, those of you who have seen Kapil bat will know that not only could he hit a 6 out of the Lal Bahadur Stadium, he could also play a lovely, delicate late cut, which he did. He played a beautiful late cut in that innings. And overnight, he was 94 not out. We were 550 for 6. The next morning, I went early. And I had a seat on that day in the pavilion. And from the old Willingdon pavilion, which I think still exists, below me, Gavaskar and the Maharaja of Baroda, Jackie Baroda, were in conversation about when to declare. Kapil Dev was 94 not out, and the discussion must have been, we will declare when Kapil gets his 100. His first test 100, but when will he get this 100? You know, half an hour, 45 minutes. Now, here is a Bombay batsman talking to a Baroda batsman. They have never seen a Chandigarh boy bat. So Kapil was 94 not out, and this goes back now 37 years. I can remember this vividly. He was 94 not out. First over of the day, Norbert Phillip, who was fast, bowled a quick ball on the off stump. Kapil drove him like this, past mid-off, 4, 98. That's one ball. Next ball was on his pads, and he flicked it over square leg for 604. Gavaskar still took 1 more hour to declare. All right. Now, that's my second memory of Kapil as the batsman. The third memory has already been anticipated by Mr. Kumar, which is of Kapil as the fielder. But Mr. Kumar, you left out one very key description. I was watching on television. In this case, everyone was watching on television. Vivian Richards went to pull Madan Lal. And since the ball came about 10, 15 kilometers slower than anticipated, he got an edge. Kapil was running back. And while he was running back, he was smiling. You know, he was smiling. Because he knew that he would make the catch. He also knew he was the only Indian fielder who could make that catch. Now, it's an extraordinary... And he also knew that with Vivian Richards gone, we had a chance of winning the match. Now, that's an extraordinary moment. Kapil is running back. Muskara raha hai. You know, I've got him. Now, that's my third recollection of Kapil. So, I've given you Kapil, the bowler. Kapil the batsman, Kapil the fielder. The last is of Kapil, the human being. This happened several years later. Must have been about 86 or 87. I had just finished my PhD. I was doing research in Delhi. I was staying with an old teacher of mine at St. Stephen's College. And I came back in the evening after dinner, and I found that the college hall was full, much more full than this. And I went in to see what was happening. Kapil was giving a talk at the St. Stephen's College hall, and he was chatting. And there he said, I recall him saying that his first captain at any form of representative cricket was Arun Lal, who was also my captain at St. Stephen's, by the way, but that's a separate story. And he was telling the Stephenians, when I first played under 22, North Zone under 22, Arun Lal was my captain. और उन्होंने बहुत कोशिश की, लेकिन वो मुझको इंग्लिश नहीं सिखा पाए. And he was speaking at St. Stephen's, elite, snobbish place, and he was making fun of himself. Then Arun Lal tried very hard to give him a proper British accent, the kind that Shashi Tharoor, a good Stephenian like me, has, and he wasn't able to do that. Now, these are the kind of stories I'm going to share with you today. No more about Kapil Dev. I'm going to start with Jolly Rovers. This is the 50th anniversary of Jolly Rovers. And the reason I accepted this invitation at once was because of my love of cricket, my admiration for Ram's off-spin bowling, but also because I am also marking my personal 50th anniversary. This is the 50th year since I became a member of a cricket club. And my first loyalty is to my cricket club. It is to the Friends Union Cricket Club, Bangalore, which is one of Karnataka's top clubs. The first ever test cricketer from Karnataka, V.M. Muddaya, played for FUCC. It's produced many Ranji Trophy cricketers. It has won first division titles. And it has also won the knockout tournament, the YSR, several times. And my first allegiance is to that club. I very rarely wear a tie. I detest wearing ties. One of the few occasions on which I wore a tie was when I had gone to see my friend Gopal Krishna Gandhi, who was then High Commissioner to South Africa. And Gopal told me I'd better bring some ties along for the occasions on which I would have to wear it because of some official reception. And the only tie I own is the FUCC tie. So whether it's the reception for my friend or occasionally at an Oxford or Cambridge high table I have to wear a tie, it's the FUCC tie. And I think loyalty to a club before loyalty to a country. Loyalty to a club is crucial for any cricketer. And I grew up with the FUCC. And the reason I grew up with the FUCC was that my first and formative mentor was my maternal uncle N. Doreswamy, who is known to some people in this room. And he is the reason why I'm here today. I would never have become a cricketer, a cricket writer, a historian, had it not been for my mama and Doreswamy. So you will indulge me in some personal recollections of my uncle, who happily is with us. He's 80 years old. He still runs the FUCC. He's at nets every day. Dore, as he is known, was mad about cricket. At the age of 11, he had an accident and lost the effective use of his right hand. So he is one-handed and right hand. With one hand, he played for St. Stephen's College. He was a reserve for the UP Ranji Trophy team. And later he ran the Friends Union Cricket Club and captained it to several league championships. So he was a very good cricketer despite having only one hand. Now, he has no children. And he had one sister who was my mother. And as you know, in Indian culture and perhaps in Tamil culture even more particularly, the mama is very close to you. So Dore would come to Dehradun, where I grew up, to visit his sister. My father worked in Dehradun, so he would come. And he claims that when I was 6, I have no recollection. I was 6, which would be the 1964. He claims that when I was 6, he came to see his sister. And during that holiday in Dehradun, he saw me play cricket with my father in the front yard. And he says, my father was an enthusiastic 3rd division or 4th division cricketer. He claims at the age of 6, I bowled my father a leg break, beat his outside edge, and then flighted one, which was the googly, and beat him through the gate and bowled him at the age of 6. At which time Dore said, my nephew has 2 legs and 2 hands, I'm going to make him a test cricketer. So from then, Till I was 21, I was the object of his ambitions, his affections. I played for my school team, my college team. And at the age of 21, after playing under Arun Lal, it was clear to me I was not good enough. There's a story I'd like to tell, since Ram has told some self-deprecatory stories about his cricket. Let me tell one absolutely true story about my cricket. I could tell some more. I played for St. Stephen's College when it was the best college team in Delhi. Delhi University regularly won the inter-university, so arguably it was the best college team in India. My teammates included Arun Lal, who was one of Kapil's first captains, Kirti Azad, whom Kapil captained in the 1983 World Cup, Rajendra Ramanath, youngest of the Amarnath brothers, Piyush Pandey, who was a Ranji Trophy player before he became an ad guru and so on. And every year, the final of the inter-college tournament between St. Stephen's and Hindu was over 5 days. It was, there was live commentary on All India Radio, young kids here, this is well before IPL or anything else. And it was watched by about 15,000 people, including Bishan Singh Bedi, the Delhi captain, come to scout for cricketers for the Ranji team. In that St. Stephen's College team, I was the worst fielder, I was the 5th bowler, and I batted number 11. Now, one year after this 5-day final, a week after the final, I was taking a bus in Delhi. And this is a bus that went all across Ring Road. Those of you who know the geography of Delhi, this was a bus that went from the Delhi University in the extreme north of the capital right round till All India Institute. And I was standing at the back of the bus, and there was a gentleman, a young man, my age, about 20 years old, observing me with whimsicality, condescension, surprise. And he was just saying, who is this guy? He looked at me and I said, why is this fellow, why has he fixed his gaze on me? He fixed his gaze on me for 40 minutes till I got off at the All India Institute stop. And as I got off at the stop, he said in Hindi, I'll repeat it in English later, he said in Hindi, 5 दिन आप धूप में ऊपर नीचे भागे और सिर्फ 1 wicket मिला. You ran up and down for 5 days and all you had to show for it was 1 wicket. And he should have added, it was the wicket of the number 11 of the opposite team. Now, so although my cricketing career went nowhere, it left me with an abiding respect for the game, an abiding love of my club first of all. This is the 50th year of my being a member of the Friends Union Cricket Club. In the year 1966, when I was 8 years old, I went to spend a holiday with my grandfather in Bangalore, and my uncle Dore would take me every day for practice. The FUCC then practiced outside the Malleshwaram High School, in an open ground between the Malleshwaram High School and the Indian Institute of Science, those of you who know Bangalore. And they would, I would help lay the mat, I would put the, next year 9, 10, 11, I would put the nails, then I would start bowling. When I first started bowling, one of the FUCC players who played one Ranji Trophy match, that was the match in which G.R. Vishwanath got 230. This FUCC player was called V. Ramdas. His elder brother V. Subramaniam played for India. So Rami was, in a sense, my first encourager. Dore was a stern taskmaster. He would, give me hard catches to take. But Rami had placed the wicket at 12 yards for me to bowl when I was 8 years old. And I have followed FUCC since then. And that is my club. Even now, I go at least 3 or times a year to watch a league match. Now my son comes with me, and it's a club that has stayed in the family for 50 years. Occasionally I've given, financial help when I can afford it. And nothing gives me more joy than to see my uncle Dore train these cricketers through under 14, under 16, under 19, under 21, and on to Ranji Trophy. FUCC does not have a record as distinguished as Jolly Rovers, but we produce lots of first-class cricketers. The first Karnataka Test cricketer, V.M. Muddaya, Sudhakar Rao, about whom I'll say a little more in a moment, and Kunal Kapoor, who may not be a household name, but who did something which G.R. Vishwanath and Rahul Dravid never did. Kunal Kapoor of FUCC is the only Karnataka player to score 100 in each innings of a Ranji Trophy match. Okay, so that's the first form of cricketing partisanship, which is your club. My club, FUCC, your club, Jolly Rovers, somebody else's club, Alwar Pet CC, and so on. The second form of cricketing partisanship follows, you could say, incrementally from the first. If you first love your club, next you love your state. And here is where I am probably unwelcome in this room, because I do not support Tamil Nadu, I support Karnataka. And how this happened, I can't say. I was growing up in UP. I had three choices: Tamil Nadu, the state of my forefathers; UP, where I lived; and Karnataka, where my grandfather and my cricketing mentor Dore had recently moved. UP was ruled out. UP was then the worst state in the worst zone. In central zone, it was the fifth best team in the central zone. It was ruled out. Why I chose Karnataka over Tamil Nadu, for the life of me, I can't recall. But it was a smart and shrewd move. Because if memory serves, Tamil Nadu has won the Ranji Trophy twice. Karnataka has won it at least 8 times. And on the first of those occasions, I was there. I am a historian. I have written about many remarkable, tragic, epic moments in history. But only once have I been, if you exclude Kapil's debut 100, or Azharuddin's debut 100, or Vivian Richards' debut 100, or which all of us I saw, the most epical historic moment in which I was present as an eyewitness was when Karnataka beat Bombay for the first time. Bombay had won the Ranji Trophy from 1958 to 1973, unbroken. And no one ever thought Bombay could lose. In 1967, this is 7 years before the match I'm going to describe to you. In 1967, Mysore, which was what Karnataka was then, was playing Bombay in the semi-finals of the Ranji Trophy. V. Subramaniam, who was the captain, got 100. They batted first, and Karnataka got 350. And Karnataka's bowling included Prasanna and Chandrasekhar. And on the first day, when news came into Bangalore that Karnataka had got 350 against Bombay, Mr. Chinnaswamy, who was the president of the KCA, flew in his own whole executive committee to Bombay because he was convinced that Prasanna and Chandra would bowl them out. What happened the next day? Ajit Wadekar got 320 of his own bat. Okay. So after that, no one ever thought, Bombay could be defeated. In Chepauk, a match which some of you might have seen, I don't know whether Ram saw it or Mr. Kumar or Mr. Shankar saw it. I think it was 1972. It was the final of the Ranji Trophy. And because not learning from Subramaniam's mistakes, Tamil Nadu thought, since they had Venkat and V.V. Kumar, they would prepare a turning track. And they put in Bombay, and Bombay were 80 all out. And I think Tamil Nadu was 70 all out or something, right? Ignaz Surkar got wickets, bowling left-arm spin. So Bombay were like, there was no way you could defeat them. I was there when Bombay was defeated. And this was truly an epic moment, which I'm going to describe to you. But before I describe the moment as it happened, I want to describe why it was so epic. Bombay won the Ranji Trophy from 1958 to 1973. After Karnataka dethroned them, Tamil Nadu won, Delhi won, Haryana under Kapil Dev's captaincy won, Maharashtra won, Railways won. The decentering of Indian cricket, it becoming a game in which great cricketers could come from all over the country, they would not only be dominated by Bombay, happened because of the day that I watched, or the match that I watched. That match started with Karnataka batting first. On the first ball, and these are things I remember, absolutely clearly, like Kapil 6 of Norbert Philip. Karnataka batted first. Abdul Ismail, who should have really played for India, he was a top-class fast bowler. The first ball, Vijay Kumar drove him for 4. The next ball, he went for a drive, got an outside edge, caught it slip. 4 for 1. In comes G.R. Vishwanath. Abdul Ismail, having bowled 2 outswingers, bowls him an in-swinger. And it hits him, Vishy goes back, it hits him here, on the back foot. It would have taken all 3 stumps. The umpire gives it not out. Why? Probably because, how can you give a test player G.R. Vishwanath out first ball? So he is given not out. Vishy scores 160. Brijesh Patel gets 100. And we get some 400 odd. Now, is 420 enough? Last time 370 was not enough. Is it enough? Anyway, Bombay come out of bat with the great Gavaskar, whom Prasanna beats in the flight with a floater and the off stump goes. I forget who else gets out. Bombay 100 for 2. Ajit Wadekar and Ashok Mankad batting. Ajit Wadekar is the guy who has never scored less than 170 against Karnataka. His scores are 170, 230, 321 and so on. Immediately, Ajit Wadekar, by the way, Satwinder, I'm told, is in the audience. I'm told that the two Indian batsmen, Prasanna and Chandrasekhar, most feared were A.G. Milkha Singh and Ajit Wadekar, both left-handers. So as soon as Wadekar comes out, Prasanna has a deep point to him. In 1974, the sweeper had not been invented, but Ajit, with his square cut, God only knows. And Prasanna is playing the waiting game. And Kaka, Mankad and Ajit Wadekar take it from 70 to 80 to 120, 130. Dore and me in the Chinnaswamy Stadium have a head in our hands. There it goes again. Now, here is where destiny, in whose hand the hand of FUCC, my club, literally plays a part, comes in. Ajit Wadekar plays a ball into the, into the offside towards short point. I beg your pardon. Ashok Mankad plays a ball into the offside towards short point, calls him for a run, then sees Sudhakar Rao of FUCC coming in quickly, sends Wadekar back. Wadekar turns to regain the non-striker's crease, slips. And Sudhakar, who had been trained by my uncle Dore to throw over the stumps, throws the ball. And Prasanna, who has been waiting for this moment half a lifetime, runs out Wadekar. And we beat Bombay, and then we beat, of course, Rajasthan in the final and win the Ranji Trophy. Now, there are two footnotes to this story. The first and lesser footnote has to do with my meeting Ajit Wadekar 20 years after that incident. It was, I think, 1994. India was playing Zimbabwe in Delhi, or 93. Kapil was playing, I remember. And Ajit Wadekar was manager of the India team. And somehow I got an invitation to some dinner where Wadekar was there. And I asked Wadekar, I said, why did you slip? And he just shrugged and said, new shoes. Now, if Ajit Wadekar had not been wearing new shoes, he would still be batting in the Chinnaswamy Stadium. And I would not be talking to you today. All right. Now, that's the first footnote. The second footnote is even more interesting. And this was told to me by Raju Mukherjee, who played many years for Bengal and East Zone and would have played with Ram and Kapil and some others in this room. Raju told me, recall that Vishwanath was plumb against Ismail and given not out. The umpire was called Ganguly. Ganguly went back after the match was over and Karnataka had won. He went to the Eden Gardens and told the assembled Bengal cricketers, including Raju Mukherjee, I have done something you cricketers could not do all these years. Make sure that Bombay does not win the Ranji Trophy. All right. Okay. Now, that is my second partisanship. My club and my state. And my partisanship in the second case, my love for my club is not that well known because it's not expressed in public. It's expressed by my going for their matches and encouraging the young kids. But the way I've written about Karnataka cricketers maybe is so redolent with my partisanship that Rajdeep Sardesai, a cricket nut, son of a Bombay cricketer, reviewing one of my books said that Guha's love for the Karnataka cricketers is so extreme, it may cause another Kaveri dispute. All right, so I've talked about club, I've talked about state. This brings me to my third and fourth and finally fifth form of partisanship. But I should anticipate what is not one of these five forms. Nation is not one of these five forms. I am not a cricketing nationalist. I once wrote in the Hindu, I do not, this is about 15 years ago I wrote in the Hindu, I do not care if India wins or loses, so long as Kumble gets wickets and Dravid scores runs. And a torrent of angry letters came down on me. I would have written in the 1970s, I wanted Karnataka to win, of course, but if Sudhakar Rao got 100, that made the victory even more special for me. So I am not a cricketizing partisan. I don't care if India wins or loses. You know, and winning over the West Indies does not please me, because it's not Garfield Sobers and Vivian Richards. It's not the West Indies against which Kapil played, right? He got a fantastic 100 in Chennai when we beat, when Hirwani got 16 wickets. Kapil got a brilliant 100. You know, I mean, I could spend a whole evening talking about Kapil, but one last memory. I watched, the only time I watched cricket in Chepauk, I mean, Ram's wonderful book, has a very nice chapter on the Chepauk Spectator. And I think it's true that the Karnataka cricket team is much better than the Tamil Nadu cricket team. But the Chinnaswamy Stadium Spectator is a lout compared to the Chepauk Spectator. You know, and the only time I watched a match in Chepauk was the first 2 days of the 1979-80 Pakistan test. On the first day, Kapil got, I don't remember, 4 or 5 or 6 wickets. With a beautiful display of swing bowling, made sweeter for me, because Kirmani took 2 magical catches. Mike Kirnat, I mean, he took, what down the leg side? You remember, Sadiq, and then he got Majid Khan played and missed about 10 times in 2 overs from you, I remember, and then he got caught behind. Anyway, so, what I was wanting to say was, I don't really care anymore if India wins or loses. I want FUCC to do well. I want Karnataka to flourish. What is my third form of cricketing partisanship? It's been mentioned furtively in the introduction. It's Test cricket. When the IPL started, I was disgusted by it. I'm still disgusted by it, but that's a separate story. And I wrote an article where I said, I compared the 3 forms of the game, Test cricket, 50-50 and T20. And I said, when you think of Test cricket, the way I can remember everything about Kapil's 100 in Delhi in 1978, you remember everything. You know, it's like a play in which you can remember a long innings, a great spell, the ebbs and flows. When you come to 50-50 cricket, you can hardly remember, and T20 is all a blur. So I constructed this analogy. I said, Test cricket is like single malt scotch. 50-50 is Indian-made foreign liquor. And T20 is the local arrack down the road. Test cricket is like single malt scotch because you remember every sip, the aroma, the taste, the nuance, the smell, the color. 50-50, you still remember at least that Tendulkar got a great 100, or Ashwin got 3 wickets in a good spell. And 20-20, all you remember is, I got smashed. All right. Now, I wrote a piece, and I'm quite proud of this analogy. I think it stands up. Now, what happened after this was, there was a famous sports economist, whom I never heard of, called Stefan Szymanski, who was a professor at the University of Michigan, and had been recruited, although his mind was not fully Indian, he had been recruited by the BCCI to draw up the schedule for the IPL, because he was a great sports economist. So he wrote me a mail saying, I want to come and see you in Bangalore to persuade you about the beauties of T20. So he came to see me, and we had lunch, and he wasn't successful, but at the end he said, I have a present for you. And out of his box, he pulled out a bottle of single malt scotch. Now the joke was on him, because although I made that analogy, I don't drink alcohol actually. So I don't know the difference between arrack and single malt scotch, but I do know the difference between T20 and Test cricket. And let me tell you, I have never gone to an IPL match. And part of the reason is that Vijay Mallya runs our team, and he's a crook and a dreadful human being. And I refuse to enter the KSCA when people like this. I mean, the IPL in many ways has brought out the worst of Indian society, corruption, cronyism, and so on. And my only regret is that the one great modern cricketer I've never seen live at the ground is Jacques Kallis, who in my view, is a greater all-round cricketer than Sachin Tendulkar, and Arnab Goswami can abuse me even more if he wants. But even though he played for the Royal Challengers, I wouldn't go, even though I never saw Kallis play. Anyway, so Test cricket is my other passion, the third form of partisanship. And this is a nice season because there are 3 or 4 Test matches going on. I can watch Sri Lanka against Australia, I can watch England against Pakistan, which is sheer beauty because of the quality of the bowling. This brings me to my fourth form of partisanship. My fourth preference in cricket, after my club, my state, and Test cricket, which is real cricket, my fourth preference is for bowlers. Bowlers over batsmen. So I salute Ram, I salute Kapil Dev. And this comes from several several impetus forms of, the impetus for this is several. First, I was a bowler myself, not much of a bowler. The first time I bowled to Kapil Dev, I had an action, as if I was going to turn it about a yard. The first time I bowled to Kirti Azad, he played for a ball that would turn as much as Venkat, it went straight through, he was caught behind. And he never made that mistake again. But because I was a bowler, and because the bowlers are the underclass, the subalterns, the underpaid, underappreciated workmen of cricket. One of the greatest stories about bowlers has to do with when Len Hutton got his knighthood in 1956. And the great Australian leg break bowler, Arthur Mailey, went to him and said, "Congratulations, Len, but I hope next time it's a bowler. The last bowler to be knighted was Sir Francis Drake." And I always feel that this follows from my love of Test cricket. You win a Test match because the bowler gets you 20 wickets. Ashwin wins you Test matches. Kohli can only set up the win. Kumble likewise won you Test matches. So I've always felt that bowlers don't get their due. I mean, whether it be the fans, they go crazy over batsmen, the sponsors. I mean, you would never see Kumble in an ad or Srinath in an ad, but you see all kinds of rather ordinary Test batsmen in ads. And I feel even in 50-50 cricket, a way must be found to encourage bowlers. There's a suggestion that Ram Narayan made, which some others may have also made, which is that to make 50-50 cricket more competitive, every time a bowler gets a wicket, give him 1 more over. So make it 11 if he gets 1 wicket, or 12 if he gets 2 wickets. And I think these are the kinds of suggestions that will bring bowlers back into the game. I think we won the 1983 World Cup because of our bowlers. Our batsmen got 180 or something. So that's my fourth form of partisanship, bowlers. It's expressed in many ways, not least at night when I cannot go to sleep. At my age, sleeplessness is, increasingly upon me. And when I cannot go to sleep, I think of Shane Warne bowling from one end and Wasim Akram bowling from the other. Both bowlers, the most beautiful classical actions, neither Indian. And I think that's, to me, the beauty and poetry of cricket is bowlers. And Jim Laker, a great bowler himself, underappreciated because everyone talked about batsmen, once said, my idea of paradise is Lords in the sunshine with Ray Lindwall bowling at one end and Bishan Bedi at the other. Wonderful. Not Sunil Gavaskar and Viv Richards, but Bishan Bedi and Ray Lindwall. So I've offered you 4 forms of partisanship: club, country, Test cricket, and bowlers. And I come to my last, which is generation. This is something I wish I could overcome, and I'm trying to overcome. But ultimately, one is born and grows up and grows old and dies with the cricketers of one's youth. Ian Peebles once said, "There are no cricketers like those seen through 12-year-old eyes." There are no cricketers like those seen through 12-year-old eyes. I was 12 when I saw Prasanna bowl for the first time. And again, it's crystal clear in my memory, though it's not a Test match. It was merely a league, merely a YSR knockout match between Prasanna's club, City Cricketers, and the Indian Air Force, Jalahalli. The Indian Air Force team included several Ranji Trophy batsmen. The best among them was a man called D.D. Deshpande, who played for several zones and is also in Wisden as one of about only a dozen cricketers ever given out handled the ball in a first-class match. So this was a key match. Prasanna came on to bowl. And in each of his first 2 overs, this is a matting wicket, he bowled a ball slightly short, which Deshpande pulled for 4. In the 3rd over, he bowled something that looked similar, except that it hurried on with the arm and trapped him plumb LBW. This happened in 1970, and I can remember it vividly. 8 years later, by which time I was a humble and rather rubbishy off-spinner myself, I played for St. Stephen's against Indian Air Force, Delhi. And at the lunch interval, I went up to Dinu Deshpande. He was then 45 and still playing. I said, "Sir, this is where I saw you play." And he smiled and said, "Ah, Pras, he made a fool of me that day." He made a fool of me that day. Now, that's the kind of memory that stays with you. Watching G.R. Vishwanath bat, Prasanna bowl, Chandrasekhar, the magic of Chandrasekhar bowling. I mean, it took me a long time to accept that Kumble could be as good as Chandrasekhar, I'm not sure I'm ready yet to accept that Ashwin is as good as Prasanna. I'm sorry. I couldn't accept Harbhajan Singh, but maybe with a polite and courteous audience like this in Chennai, I'll come to accepting Ashwin. And we talk about bowlers at a time when close-in fielders did not have guards and helmets, when the bats, the whole thing was different. So I am a partisan of my generation. Bishan Bedi, a great hero of mine. I mean, I grew up watching 3 Ranji Trophy matches in successive years. Karnataka against Delhi, 2 played in Delhi, 1 played in Bangalore, and I watched all of them. Prasanna and Chandra on one side versus Bishan Bedi on the other. Vishwanath and Patel and Kirmani on this side versus Surendra Manad, Mohinder Manad, Madan Lal, and some other really fine players. And Bishan Bedi was a hero of mine, not only because of the poetry of his bowling, but because of the stories I heard. I was playing for St. Stephen's, and 3 or 4 of my classmates were playing for Delhi under Bishan Bedi, and they would carry back stories. So there was a chap, I don't know whether Ram or Kapil remember him, called Rajeshwar Watts. He was like a Pehlwan. And one day he was messing around in practice, and Bishan told him, "You think you're a wrestler? Apne ko Pehlwan samajhta hai? Carry this brick, eat rakh, dono haath mein aur bhag. And just try running with a brick for 10 yards, and that's the end of your wrestlership." Another time I remember, Hari Gidwani, who played for the rival college Hindu, was batting in a Ranji Trophy match. He was 90 not out at drinks. Bishan told him, "Get your 100 before lunch, we have to declare." He was 99 not out at lunch, Bishan declared. So that's the kind of person he was. And apart from his bowling, and he was just a person of extraordinary charisma. In later years, he's become a friend of mine, and I still venerate him. And he's someone who's abrasive, acerbic. He's so undiplomatic that he can never be in any BCCI committee. But his love for the game is totally intact. I was in Afghanistan some years ago, and they wanted an Indian coach. And I approached Bishan, and he said, "Anywhere for cricket." But they didn't want Bishan, they wanted a current player, but the current player's agent said it's too dangerous, so you don't go. But my admiration, if I see G.R. Vishwanath, I can't talk to him. You're just struck by the kind of boyhood aura that he had for me. Bishan is a friend. But when Bishan calls, I have his number on my mobile, he is the only person, when he calls, I stand up to take the call, even though I'm a million miles away. So I think cricketers of your generation, the heroes of your generation, it's inescapable. You can reject your country, but you can't reject your generation. So I've given you these 5 forms of partisanship. I'm sure you won't agree with all of them. There's the partisanship of club, of country, of Test cricket of bowlers over batsmen, and finally of your generation. But I don't want to leave you with a thought that one cannot at times outgrow these partisanships. You know, the most deeply cherished beliefs, at least in cricketing terms, are there to be challenged, to be overthrown. And I'm going to give you one personal anecdote and then end. I never watch IPL, as I told you. But I do occasionally watch, and this is the first time I'm confessing in public, I do occasionally watch international T20 matches. I watched one part of a World Cup in which Sri Lanka won, because Jayawardena and Sangakkara had never won a championship before. And I watched a little bit of the last T20 World Cup, and I remember, not all of it, but I remember an innings in which Kohli played. This was against Australia, you will all remember it. And he scored about 80 to win the match, and he played two exquisite square drives. I mean, Pratap Ramchand is here, I know, and there are others here who have written about G.R. Vishwanath's square driving of Andy Roberts in 1974. Now, this was Faulkner, who is not Andy Roberts, but he's a crafty bowler. And, at that kind of pressure, he played two exquisite square drives, and that won the match. And then I thought, here is Virat Kohli. He's a batsman, not a bowler. He is young enough to be my son. He does not play for Karnataka, he plays for Delhi. And worse, he plays for the RCB. And yet, I was so moved by his batsmanship that day that I tweeted the next morning, "There goes G.R. Vishwanath from my all-time India 11. Thank you very much.